Over the course of the 20th century, the federal government has taken on the role of being the primary patron of our institutions of higher education. This position came about because of Title IV funding and the easy way students can qualify for Pell Grants. This financial support from the federal government has led many students to acquire rather large amounts of student loan debt. And though student loan debt is very easy to acquire, it is extremely difficult to get rid of. Many people with larger student loan debts have given up on the idea that they could ever pay their debt off because it's almost impossible to cancel student loan debt through bankruptcy. Instead, many people minimize their monthly payment by opting to have their payment based on their annual income. Oftentimes this payment is small enough that it doesn't even cover the interest of the loan, so the loan total is actually growing each month rather than shrinking. This is how people can find themselves in the category of owing over $1 million in student loans. Many people with these debts are hoping that the federal government will create a loan forgiveness program. The Biden administration has been working to start a program like this, but has been delayed by lawsuits that the Supreme Court is reviewing. At this point, there is no word about how that will go, but this method is not a silver bullet because it just moves the debt from the students who applied for the loan to those who did not apply for it, hardworking families and those who didn't go to college. At this point, approximately 43 million Americans are carrying student loan debt, with that total debt exceeding $1.5 trillion. The debt owed on America's student loans is now seen by many to be the next big financial crisis, a debt bubble that, because it has no collateral except the federal government, will hit America worse than the housing crisis of 2008. Of all the various forms of debt that Americans take out, student loan debt has the highest default rate, with over 10% of the 2015 graduates defaulting within the first 3 years after graduation. Aside from the possibility of a national student loan crisis, we can actually see the negative impact of this debt on the individual students that carry it. We castigate the next generation for their apparent failure to launch mentality, but we fail to notice the impact that carrying this kind of debt has for moving on from college. You cannot underestimate the power that student loans have in delaying decisions to get married, have children, and buy a house. Many graduates simply must put off these life decisions until they have knocked out their student loan debt. In a bit of poetic justice, colleges are currently alarmed because data shows that across the U.S. we will soon be facing what is known as the birth dearth. That is, that since 2007, the nation's birth rate has dropped more than 12%. This means that looking forward to the year 2026, there is a corresponding projected drop in college enrollment because we are going to have fewer high school graduates. Therefore, in a few short years, we will be facing a shortage of incoming college freshmen. And while colleges are busy figuring out how to respond to this coming drought of prospective students, I don't think that they realize the possibility that they have contributed to the creation of this drought. But since the burden of student loan debt has significantly discouraged college graduates from taking the plunge to get married or to start having kids, it is reasonable to suspect that colleges themselves carry some of the blame for this coming birth dearth. Consider the impact of those two June dates, June 22nd, 1944 and June 23rd, 1972. With the first, FDR brought us the GI Bill, which opened the doors for the federal funding of college education. And with the second, Nixon set up the 1-2 punch of the Pell Grant and the federally subsidized student loan. You can't deny that these programs have brought in a lot of good in that they made a college education a possibility for millions of Americans who lack the means to get there on their own. I'm one of them. Straight out of high school, I joined the Marine Corps Reserves in order to take advantage of the GI Bill. I then used both Pell Grants and student loans to complete my degree. So I can appreciate how for many individuals these programs made college a possibility. But this good thing has come at a high cost as well. Our graduates are now walking across the graduation stage, pulling a $30,000 ball and chain of debt after them. And on top of that, our colleges too have become radically transformed for the worse and not for the better. The torrent of federal money has come with a significant number of strings attached and has reshaped the face of higher education in ways that we, distracted by the free cash, have failed to understand. At New St. Andrews College, we understand the cost that comes with these federal loans. We recognize that some students have to take out loans to go to college. But we also recognize that we are responsible to set an example for our students, so we refuse to accept federal money. This is a cost to us as an institution because we don't get this easy money. Instead, our vision is to offer an education that is truly free of government entanglement, and that helps our students be free of debt. We are also committed to making our tuition competitive and financially feasible for students. We believe this is the proper way to solve the student debt crisis. If you would like to follow this conversation, go to our blog where we will continue to post on our unique perspective of federal funding in higher education. The link is in the description, or just go to nsa.edu and click on the blog.